Good morning. Happy Q&A. Happy Wednesday. Today, oh my gosh, I see so many familiar faces. I'm so excited. This is public, so I won't call you out by name, but I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Okay. So today, wow, that just made my whole day, you guys. Oh, I'm so excited. Today we're talking about protection magic. This is something that I love talking about. I talk a ton about at Haven. And it's something that I think every person needs to know, whether you identify as a witch or not, whether you call yourself a witch or not, whether you think that you practice witchcraft or not, I don't care, right? Spiritual forces exist and they require us to do life. If you are in tune with things, however you identify is fine, but they require us to have a certain level of respect, right? A certain level of things that maybe we don't even understand but can affect us, right? So we're going to talk today. I'm going to check and see what questions we have in Q&A, and I'm going to talk about best practices for how we handle protection as witches. This will be helpful if you have never done witchcraft, if you don't consider yourself a witch, if you're like, who the hell is this girl? If you don't know who I am and you're here for the first time, or you found this on YouTube, or you found our Zoom link, my name is Telia, and I have been a witch pretty much my whole life, been in tune with spirit pretty much my whole life. My mom is a medium, my grandma was a medium, my brother has abilities, runs in my family, and my dad was a pastor. So I grew up with a very healthy level of respect for the spiritual, even the things that I didn't understand. And I got a PhD in experience around things like biblical theology and also paranormal activity, right? The things that we don't totally understand. It was very commonplace for me growing up to ask around the dinner table what Sunday's sermon or worship set was, and also like who are the deceased people who are at the house walking, in front of our sidewalk, right? That is very much like commonplace. So this has been something, protection as a whole has been something that's been very near and dear to my heart, not just because of the way that I grew up and being able to be part of the childhood and the life that the universe assigned me, but also because it's really freaking important. Even if you're not going to play in the ether, even if you're not going to engage in spirituality, it's still something that's important to know. But I will put this in all caps and bold font. If you are a witch, if you are doing spell work, if you are working with intention, if you are manifesting, if you are in a partnership, if you have children, if you do anything spiritual, you have to know how to protect yourself. Okay. You have to, it's not optional. Same way that you lock your doors at night, same way that you wash your hands after you go to the bathroom, same way that you brush your teeth. You don't only brush your teeth when you have a cavity. You brush your teeth to prevent cavities. You lock your door to prevent theft. Right? Like we need to be proactive in the way that we take care of our protection so that we don't have issues. And then you don't have to come see me and it makes everybody's life easier. Okay. So what is protection magic? I'm just going to do like a run through of best practices. I've got notes, which is why I'm looking at my other screen. What is protection magic? So protection magic, first and foremost, is about boundaries, right? It's about well-being. It's about your energy. Think about if you wake up one day and you are exhausted, right? You have no spoons left in the tank, you have no gasoline left in the tank, and you're looking at your calendar and you have like 4 meetings or 4 clients, and you've got to pick up the kids and you've got grocery shopping and right? That is going to be a drain. That is a call for boundaries. Boundaries are protection, right? So being able to say, I can't do that today, or asking for help. Can you bridge the gap? Can you help me? I don't have the energy. How do I either take care of myself so that I can manufacture and manifest that energy? And or how do I ask for help and be supported? Those count as protection too. A lot of people think protection is salt circles and pentacles. We'll get there 100%. You're not wrong. But also, we want to address the mundane first. If you are a student at the Haven School of Witchcraft, which is the school that I run along with my team, you will know that we always address the mundane first. So if you come to me, whether you're a student or not, and you're like, Teal, I think I'm cursed. Teal, I think somebody hexed me. Teal, I think somebody's sending me bad magic. I think somebody jinxed me. My first question will be, okay, what's going on? Tell me what is showing up. And then we're going to look at the mundane things, right? So the example that I was thinking about this morning is, let's say somebody created a cross. A cross is a type of baneful magic that is prescribed for a long-term ongoing situation. So an easy way to think about this is, if someone was going to cross you, they might say, every job interview you have, you bomb, right? You come to me and you're like, Teal, someone crossed me. Someone did, baneful magic, malefic magic, left path magic. It's called a bunch of things. And every interview that I have, I fuck up. The first question I would ask you would be, okay, did you show up on time? Did you bring your resume? Did you dress for the part? Did you answer their questions right? Right? We're going to address the mundane first. We have to address the mundane first. If you said there's, a monster in the closet, something is attacking my kids. Okay. Did you lock your doors? Is your house settling? Is the house creaking? Is there something in the closet that's making noise? Is your kid going through developmental stages where they're having nightmares and that's normal? Are we allergic to something? Did your kid get into something in the poison closet that they shouldn't have, right? Like, we're going to rule out the mundane first, and then we can work on the magical side. So when I talk about protection, I always talk about taking exquisite care of your basics. That is the number one way I can tell you to take care of your protection as a spiritual human, as a human living on this planet, having a spiritual experience. Are you eating enough? Are you drinking enough? Enough water, right? Be clear. Drinking enough water. Are you hydrating? Are you getting enough sunlight? Are you moving your body? Are you in relationship with other people? Level doesn't matter, but we don't do life in a silo, right? Do you have community around you? Are you able to enjoy your life? Do you do things that make you smile? Do you do things like, if you're like life, I mean, we're all living in 2026. I'm well aware of the climate of the world, right? Not exactly our favorite place to be right now, and that's okay. I want you to think about, if you're like, man, life sucks. You're in the spiral, right? Maybe you're in the moon card or the sun reversed in the tarot. You're having those spirally thoughts. Pick something that you used to do as a kid that made you happy and make a commitment to do that thing this week if it's accessible, or do a version of it if it's not accessible, right? If you loved riding your bike as a kid and that lit you the fuck up, go ride your bike sometime this week. If you loved painting, paint a picture. If you loved singing or doing karaoke, guess what you get to do this weekend? Okay. That is part of protecting your energy. When we function at a baseline that is as well regulated as possible, we're not looking for perfection. When we take really good care of ourselves, you know what's easier to spot? Shit that's off, right? When you know the baseline, any sort of uptick in fear, anxiety, needing protection, something being nefarious, something needing your attention, will stand out. This is the same as people who study counterfeit money. They study the real thing for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and memorize. It's a blueprint, so that the second something counterfeit comes across their desk, they spot it because they know exactly what the actual one should look like, right? So take care of your basics. Drink enough water. We're all basically plants. Drink enough water, get enough nutrients, get some sunlight, take care of your mental health, take care of your boundaries, ask for help, have the hard conversation. All of that is boundaries. All of that is protection. Okay. You came today and you're like wanting to learn which protection we're going to get there, but I would be a bad teacher if I did not tell you those things. Okay. How do we know we might need protection other than the very obvious physical signs okay, looking at the very, very hyperbolic, meaning very exaggerated signs of possession or of a baneful entity, a demon, a jinn, something living in your world and they're attacking you, right? That exists. I'm not going to lie to you and say that it doesn't. I've dealt with shit like that my whole life. That's kind of the work that my family did growing up. That's the lens that I have around baneful magic, which is why I teach it. Those kind of physical things, scratches, bites, things like unexpected bruising, right? Especially scratches in the form of threes. Like if somebody had 3 nails and they were going to scratch you, a triple scratch line, right? Actually, you can see this. Can you guys see this? That's from an exorcism. So like there are ways that spirit can interact with you that are very exaggerated depending on the work that you do. Don't hear this and be like, oh my God, I woke up with 3 scratches. The first question I'll ask you is, do you have cats? Do your cats sleep in your bed? Right? Like, we're going to address the mundane first. Does it mean it can't happen? No, of course it's possible. But we have to be really careful with the assumptions that we make. So we're going to address the mundane first. Things that you want to look out for that are in that hyperbolic, holy shit, I need Teal's help, or I need somebody who is a baneful practitioner. If it's not me, I have a school full of people, full of witches who have graduated counsel who would absolutely be willing to help. If my energy is not a yes for you, I have a wide network. Okay. Things that you want to look for: scratches, bruising, recurring intrusive negative thoughts that you have not addressed in therapy, that are not able to help. The first thing I will tell you: witchcraft is not a replacement for therapy. Witchcraft is not a replacement for your doctor. Your spell work is not a replacement for professional therapeutic mental health care. I will tell you to go see a therapist. I will work with you and your therapist to figure out what's going on, to see if there's something that we can adjunct, that we can add. But witchcraft does not replace therapy. Okay. So if you are having spirally thoughts, if you are having intrusive thoughts, if you are having ruminating negativity, the first question I will ask you is, what are you doing to take care of your mental health? Do you have professional therapeutic support? Because I am not that person. Witchcraft is not that thing, not a replacement. We can partner, but we're not going to replace. Okay. So ruminating thoughts can be a sign of something nefarious going on, right? I would say repeated negative circumstances despite your best efforts. If we get through that mundane situation, right? You've tried everything, you brought back to the interview situation, right? Example: you brought your resume, you dressed for the part, you were on time, you did all your follow-ups, you were polite, you answered all the questions correctly, they seem like they love you, and no matter how many freaking interviews you have, you don't get the job. Yeah, okay, then if we can rule out the mundane things, then we can look at that in the ether and go, what's going on, right? What's actually happening? Maybe it's not nefarious. Maybe it's spirit telling you, like, yo, you need to switch careers. You're only looking for jobs in IT. Maybe you need to look at jobs in manufacturing. Maybe you need to look at jobs in sustainability. Maybe you need to change your course of action, right? Maybe it's not that somebody, is professing bad things over you or doing magic on you without your consent. Maybe it's spirit going, hey, we gotta change course a little bit. Okay. um, Feeling drained. And for those of y'all, we have a ton of people at Haven who are like me, who are chronic pain warriors, who have systemic things going on, all different kinds. I'm not going to name things, but all different kinds of chronic illness, chronic pain. We're warriors, okay? We have a different level of appreciation and awareness for an energetic baseline. When I say chronically drained, I'm saying drained from what your normal baseline is. Do not compare normal. Normal is not a fixed thing, right? Your normal is going to be different than my normal. My normal is going to be different than my team's normal, right? My team's normal is going to be different than my partner's normal. They're all going to be different. So whatever your normal is, your consistent-ish baseline, if you are constantly below that, constantly like you wake up completely unable to get out of bed, and that's not normal for you. You wake up with a body that feels like it got, steamrolled or run over, and you're not sick, right? Nothing you can point to mundanely. You didn't eat something you're allergic to. You didn't not get enough sleep, right? There's nothing you can point to. I would pay attention to that. Those of y'all who have strong gut feelings, okay? Those of you who are watching this, who are part of Haven or witches or have been around the block with your intuition, there will be times when you just have a feeling. There might be no other tangible sign. You might not have scratches. You might not walk into a room and go, what the fuck? You might not be having conflict conversations with everyone. People at the grocery store look at you wrong. The person in checkout has a big problem. What the hell is that, right? You might not have those specific repeated negative instances on the outside from experiences. It may just be a gut feeling. That is still something to trust. Okay. My witches at Haven know that my favorite D word is to document, write it down. Okay. If you are someone who is having that kind of an issue, you're having anything from a scratch to consistent negative experiences or conflict based conversations, anything like that, write it down, track it. It can be as simple as had a fight with so and so today, had another fight with so and so same day, what the hell, had another argument with someone the same day. Or somebody said this morning that their eye is twitching for 3 days in a row, right? That is something to pay attention to. If you're like, man, no, I'm hydrated, I'm not nervous, I'm not on like nerve medication that's new, right? Like you're ruling out the mundane. That is something that spirit's going, hey, think, 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 pay attention. Okay. Can be very physical, can be very gut nudge, but very intuitive. It can also be really emotional. Okay. A lot, as someone who's a baneful witch, okay, I practice baneful magic. I teach baneful magic. Those are things like hexing, jinxing, right? Cursing, right? Which I will teach you what that is, but not how to do it. When you are dealing with that kind of magic, if someone is going to actually hex you, right? One of the things that baneful witches love is to fuck with your emotions. So it can show up as you having spirally thoughts and spiral. All of a sudden, you are just sobbing. And it's not the week before you bleed. It's not cyclical shit. It's not the hard day anniversary of a traumatic memory. It's not someone said something to you that morning and it just set you the rest of the day, right? It's not a BPD split. It's not you, there's nothing mundane that you can look at, right? It's like, man, I just cannot get out of this anxiety. I just cannot get out of this funk, right? Again, I will ask you, what are your basics? Have you eaten? Are you taking care of yourself? How's your sleep? Are you seeing a therapist? All of that matters. And if you're like, Teal, I ate today. I drank water today. I got sunlight today. I'm at my baseline. I just know that there's this weird texture of anxiety. That's the day that I had yesterday. I messaged somebody on my team and I was like, girl, it's not me, but like I feel this anxiety and I'm like, it's in the collective. What the hell is this? Do you feel this? She was like, yeah, I can feel it. And the guidance that I have for you is to go sit in automatic right. Oh, okay. So I went and sat and got the answers that I needed, right? That's why networking is important. That's why we check in with each other. It's also because I'm well practiced. I know, oh, yeah, okay, I'm feeling anxiety, but is it me? The first thing I did, and if you're at Haven, you probably heard this voice memo. The first thing I did, I got out of bed, I got myself water. I turned on music to regulate my nervous system because at first I was like, why am I anxious? It wasn't me. Got water, regulated my nervous system, and I went right back here where you guys can see, and I got on my yoga mat. And I did 30 minutes of just a very simple yin practice. Yin is very slow, very femme, very connective tissue based, and chilled. And then once I was at a baseline, I could see, oh, it's not me, it's the collective. Okay. We always want to take care of our mundane things first. Always, always. That doesn't mean that if you are not seeing very physical examples or physical displays of things being nefarious or being off, that it doesn't exist. Okay. It can show up emotionally, it can show up mentally. Still important to look at the mundane, but those things can happen. So one of the things that I get asked a lot is there's so many protection practices. What the heck do I do to protect myself? And that's true. We love that though, right? There are tons of ways, tons of cultures, tons of lineages, tons of paths in witchcraft have ways to protect themselves. Some of them I will talk to you about, some of them I won't because I don't teach closed practices. I don't have access to closed practices and we don't appropriate. But I will teach you things that you have license to be able to use. The first tip I will say is decide once. There are a ton of practices. There are a ton. Pick one. Doesn't mean that the rest of them are off limits to you, but give your brain the beauty of picking once. Just decide once, make the decision. The way that I think about this is like Steve Jobs. He wore the same outfit every day, blue jeans, black t-shirt, every day. He did not have to decide his outfit. He woke up, he opened his closet, he picked his blue jeans, he picked his black t-shirt, he picked black socks, out the door, right? mental decision making, especially if you are in need of protection, you don't want to have to sit there and flip through freaking witch talk or flip through the spell library or flip through Instagram. Ooh, what should I? You're going to end up in a doom scroll. You're going to end up not paying attention to what needs to be addressed, whether that's your energy or protection or kicking something out of the house, right? Like, can look like a lot of things. Your job is to decide once. So I will give you lots of ideas of things. Pick one. Pick one for the next week. Use that. Let everything else that you see be ideas in your pocket, but leave those as ideas. Okay. Pick one, decide once. It's much easier. Helps you stop overthinking. Start small. You want to add one protective habit at a time. Okay. One protective habit at a time. So I think one thing that is useful is using kitchen herbs. All of us likely have access to simple kitchen herbs. I brought this to show y'all. This is rosemary. Okay. Can you see this? I made a pot roast this week and we had leftover rosemary that I was going to put in the freezer. And I was like, I'm going to use this for Q&A. I'm teaching protection. So this is literally rosemary from the grocery store, a half mile away. I didn't grow it. I don't know who grew it. I got it at the grocery store and I dried it out. It's been sitting on my desk for like 3 days. Rosemary is ridiculously protective. So one of the things that you can do, whether you take a sprig of rosemary like off of the stem like this, or you take the actual stem, put this at your door, inside your door, outside your door, above the little ledge on your door. Like if you have this little ledge up here, right? You can stick it in your ledge of your door, your front door. It acts as rosemary is very protective. I've actually used rosemary in exorcisms. Like it is heavy hitting. Y'all think that like, oh, we can, season our chicken, which is true, right? Like I love cooking with rosemary, but rosemary is also really protective. It's also phenomenal for mental protection. So if you are somebody who is subject to overthinking, you're someone who's subject to even the thought of, oh, that person cursed me, that person hexed me, and that becomes ruminating, right? Oh my God, am I cursed? Oh my God, is this bad energy? Oh my God, is someone sending me bad juju? Guess what? Whether or not they are, that's what you're focused on, right? Like we gotta see it and zoom out a little bit. So rosemary is a phenomenal way, easy, inexpensive, accessible, regardless of where you are in the country. And I would say largely accessible in the world. I haven't had a situation in almost 40 years when I've recommended rosemary to somebody and they couldn't find it. So you can order it from Amazon. If you want to shop at Amazon, great. You can also get it from stores. If you want, you can get seeds and grow it. You do you, boo. But like this is easy. Put it in front of your front door. You can also, if you're into tinctures and alcohol is safe in your house, you can put rosemary sprigs in, just cover them with a couple of inches of at least a 50, 60 proof alcohol. That's not what I meant to say. At least 100 proof alcohol. You want something that's at least 50% alcohol. So you want 100 proof or higher. And submerge it, let it sit for a few weeks in the dark, shake it up, and then you can strain the rosemary out. What you will be left with is a tincture. It's still alcohol, so don't give it to your kids. It still has alcohol in it, but what you can do is put a couple of drops of that in your floor wash, in your mop water, in your dishes water, in your plants, just a couple of drops. That will help make the wherever you're applying it, right? It'll help bring that protection energy to whatever it is that you're cleaning. I did this morning with Egyptian basil and thyme tincture in my steam mop. For not just a couple of drops of both, Egyptian basil for money, thyme for protection. Another one that I use, and I happen to have thyme tincture. Somebody asked if you could use isopropyl alcohol. I have never done it. I've only done it with grain alcohol. Like I usually use vodka just because it's easy and cheap and easy to find. If you didn't want to use alcohol, if you happen to be sober, you have a sober house, you can do that with glycerin. They're called glycerites instead of tinctures. And glycerin, if you have kiddos, glycerin, obviously, I mean, a couple of drops of tincture is not going to get your 8-year-old sloshed, right? Like you can parent how you parent. I'm not telling you what to do. But if you're like, Mike, there's no alcohol in my house, I'm not giving my kids tinctures. You can do it with glycerin. You can do it with glycerites. And that's obviously sober, aligned with people who are in recovery. And, your kid is sick, you're not going to give them elderberry tincture made of vodka. You could give them elderberry glycerite. It's just glycerin. Glycerin is actually what they use in allergy testing to create the control, because it's like a 0 pH. It's very, very skin sensitive, very whole body friendly. Very rarely does somebody have an allergy or a reaction to that. So safe for kiddos. Obviously, follow your dosages. But you could absolutely do that with rosemary if you wanted to make glycerin or glycerite and not use alcohol. You could do that too. As far as like a floor wash, I mean, you could soak this, and you could soak rosemary in water if you really wanted to and make a floor wash, or put the rosemary in your mop water. The thing is, like, I'm Greek. If I end up mopping with this and there's little pieces of rosemary all over my house, I'm gonna be pissed. Right? I don't like that. So I usually use the tincture or drops, or I will strain out the herbs that I have in my mop water or whatever, so that I'm not leaving things behind, because I'll just be irritated. But that's a me thing, doesn't have to be a you thing. That's a simple way to be in alignment with whatever herb. Yeah, one of our mods says boil the herb. Yeah, it makes great herb water. You can boil it on the stove. That will do the same thing. It'll pull, depending upon the herb, right? Do your research. For those of you who are at Haven, I will grab our green Bible. It's on my desk. This is our favorite herbal book at Haven. Okay. I'm not sponsored to say this when this goes on YouTube. This is not a sponsored post. I make every student at Haven buy this book. Every freaking student at Haven has this book. We call this the Green Bible. It's written by Scott Cunningham. I will put a link to this below on YouTube in the description if you want to check it out, an Amazon link. He is a phenomenal human. He has a ton of books, Scott Cunningham does. This is a book about it's not exhaustive, but there's a lot of herbs in here that give you not only like the gender of the herb, the planet that it's associated with, the element that it's associated with, and then the magical uses. More important than all of that, it gives you contraindications. It tells you if it's going to interact with things. Yeah, do you have a question, Miss Ma'am? Okay, I saw your hand. I just want to make sure. It tells you if you're going to have a interaction with medication. Okay. Obviously you check with your doctor. I'm not a doctor. Please don't, this does not replace medical advice. I have to say that, it's the internet. But this back page right here in this book will tell you a short list of all of the codes that are used with each of the herbs, so that hey, this might make you puke. This might affect you if you have kidney issues. If you have liver issues, don't take it, right? So do your research. If you are a Haven student, get your green Bible. If you're like, oh, I want to add this I want a protection herb to add to my floor wash, but I don't have rosemary, do that. Okay. Yes, one of our attendees says buy Everclear. It is 98%. Yeah, if I don't use vodka, that's what I'll use. If alcohol is in your sphere. And add 50% by volume water. Most distilled liquor is 80 proof. Yeah, so that's why I say 100 proof. The proof number is double the amount of alcohol. So if it's 100 proof, it's 50% alcohol. If it's 80 proof, it's 40% alcohol. You want something ideally not less than 80 proof, because you want the alcohol content to be strong enough to pull the constituents out of the herbs, pull all of the goodness out of the herbs. There are some herbs that don't function well in a tincture, like barks, like sandalwood, white willow bark, things like that, that are better done with a decoction, which is in water on the stove. Rosemary can be done a bunch of ways. Okay, if you're curious about protection herbs, let me know. We can go over more of them. But I love rosemary. I had that quickly right here, just on the side of my desk so that I could show it to you. Easy, accessible. This is literally leftover sprigs that I didn't use in a pot roast. And I was like, oh, easy peasy. Part of the way that I teach, and part of the values that I hold that I've given to Haven, involve being eco-friendly, using what we have, right? Think about this. Our ancestors did not get to go to Amazon and, oh, I need a bright purple candle and hexagonal silver glitter for my protection spell. They use what they had, right? So in the interest of not only being financially responsible and not buying things that I'm not going to need, but also using what you have. Good idea for your witchcraft. And also the universe will smile at that, right? Because you're being responsible. We're stewarding our resources well. Okay. Other protective habits you can use when you're starting small. Table salt. I am 97% sure that everybody on this call, there's 12 of us, have table salt in their house. If you don't, it's easy to find, easy to source, it's inexpensive. Salt is naturally protective. Salt is naturally clearing. Those of y'all who have been at Haven know that clearing and protection are fraternal twins. They're a package deal. We have to do one and the other. We can't just protect. We're not going to talk about cleansing today, but please know that you need to cleanse before you protect. Otherwise, you're just protecting the juju that's in the house. And if that's not good, that's like locking the thief in your house, right? Why would we do that? We kick the thief out and then we lock the door. So make sure you're cleansing. If you have questions about that, I have a whole Q&A on cleansing. You can go look at it. It's free on YouTube. Go check that out. But salt is cleansing and protective. So one of the things that I love doing is drawing a salt line around my property or in front of my front door, which literally, when I say drawing a salt line, let's pretend that this bottle, which is poppy seeds, let's pretend that it's salt. I'm going to shake the salt shaker just a little bit. Doesn't have to be a thick line, doesn't have to be something that you see, right? It can just be a shake, right? Shake it in front of your doors, shake it in your windowsills, any space. You can even do that. Like if you want to do an interior liminal space, like in your doorways, you can. You're going to end up with salt on your floor. So this is a choose your own adventure situation, but you can do that there. I at least do it for any sort of external liminal situation, windowsills, especially front door, back door, patio doors. You can, and I have done around a property line. If you want to follow your back fence, follow your front fence or your front lawn where your lawn meets the sidewalk, that's okay too. Love that. Someone's asking what salt would be best to use. So in the interest of it being accessible, you can use normal white table salt. Okay. The same salt that you get in the little packets at fast food restaurants, the same salt that's in your salt shaker. If you're going to do a salt line around your property, I'm not going to tell you to use like Maldonado sea salt, gray flake sea salt. That's not going to help, right? It's salt. Now, there are caveats to this. Like actually, this is funny that you asked that. I have a vial of black salt here. Black salt is used by combining salt with the scrapings of cast iron skillet, right? Or you can use charcoal if you want to use that too. Black salt is very protective. Is it more protective than white salt? No. White salt will do exactly the same thing if your intention is strong enough. However, black salt is something that I use in baneful workings and very high protective level magic. So if you're dealing with something like an exorcism, like an ex that hired an Etsy witch to curse you, like that family member that is a see you next Tuesday that just won't leave you the fuck alone. Black salt is great for that. Okay. Like there are reasons to use it. But as far as like normal, day-to-day protection or every other day, every third day protection, normal white, go grab your salt shaker off your dinner table or out your kitchen, cleanse your house. Okay. When I literally mean like mundanely clean. The more clutter you have, the more energy will stick in your house. So clean your house, and then you can smudge. You can do liquid cleansing like mop, like we talked about. You can use Florida water, which I'll show y'all. Florida water looks like this. Florida water it's actually a brand name. Let's see if I can show this to you. Yeah. And it just is a liquid. It is made of rubbing alcohol. Do not drink it. It is not for internal use. Do not consume this. Smells delicious though. Everybody makes it a little bit different. This is a brand name one that I love, but you can make your own if you want to. Some of our witches at Haven make their own. That is a great way to have cleansing that is liquid. So you can add that into your mop water. You can, when I change the sheets every Tuesday, I sprinkle a little bit of Florida water on the mattress to clear the energy of the bed, to clear the energy that has accumulated. Love that. And it smells great and it'll evaporate. It's alcohol based, so it'll evaporate really easy. Doesn't stain. It looks like it's a little bit dyed blue. I've put this on white linens, never had a problem. Okay. So don't worry about it. If you're really, really worried about your linens, do it around the bed. Okay. If you want to sprinkle clean, that's great. Somebody says I use that on my crown, heart, and feet when when I know I'm going to work with or be around negative people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even just like putting your finger, there's like an open little dribble top. I don't know if you guys can see that on these bottles. I also have a small, like this one is 7.5 fluid ounces. I have like a 2 ounce or 3 ounce little small one too. Those ones are great. Like if you're going to work before a session, put a little bit in your hands, hold your tarot deck, hold your tools, grab your wand. Let's see which one I magically picked without looking. Okay, this one. Grab your wand. This is walnut and rub your hands covered in Florida water on your tools. Okay. We're not going to clean all of the consecrating work that we're doing, but this has been sitting in my office. It's been listening to my sessions. It's been present, right? I want to make sure that it's cleansed and that it's protected. Things like Florida water, salt are sort of a 1-2 punch. They're a phenomenal way to cleanse and also to protect your whatever you're protecting. Okay. Somebody says I cleaned my windowsill with lemon the other day and then sprayed Florida water. Freaking love. Yep. Any sort of citrus fruit. Good tip. Yeah. Any sort of citrus fruit is good at cleansing. You think about citrus fruits are made of acid, right? They have high acid content. Acid cleans, it clears, right? It eats and wipes away. So if you have essential oils, we're not going to ingest them. We're not going to put them around kids or pets, but you can be careful with this. Like put a drop or two of essential oil in your window washing water. Okay. That's a phenomenal idea. Any sort of citrus fruit. So limes, lemons, oranges, tangelos, anything like that. Bergamot is great for cleansing and protecting. Really, really, really phenomenal. You can also, like, speaking of eco-friendly, if you're going to make lemon bars, we're coming up to spring in the Northern Hemisphere, you're going to make lemon bars, save your lemon peels, put them in a jar of vinegar, just normal standard white vinegar, put them in a mason jar, cap the mason jar, put it in the dark in the back of your cabinet. Let it sit for a couple of weeks. After, like, shake it when you think about it, right? A couple of weeks. It can be 6 months. If you forget about it, that's fine. Nothing bad's going to happen. When you remember it, strain the vinegar out. You can trash the peels or put them in your compost, whatever. The vinegar is a phenomenal cleanser. And I'm saying that like mundane and energetically. You can definitely do that. And if it usually the lemon, or you can do this with oranges too, will cut the scent of the vinegar. So if you're like, oh, I don't want vinegar cleanser all over my house, it's not going to, it will still smell like vinegar. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's going to be way, way less than if you just popped open a bottle of distilled white vinegar and were cleaning with it. Okay. Pro moves. So start small. And the last thing that I want to tell you has no tools other than your body. So if you're like, I live in the middle of nowhere, or I am houseless and I am in my car, or I have 2 cents in my checking account. I can't even go buy salt. Okay, cool. The thing that I will teach you is to use your breath. Breath work is clearing. Breath work costs nothing. Breath other than your time and space and energy, right? Breath work, if it's accessible for you, is a really phenomenal way to protect yourself. So one of the things that I will teach my students at Haven is an element stance. Those of you who have been in classes know our element stance. We start by calling in the eastern direction, which is the element of air. Air is good at cleansing. Think about what air does, right? Air moves, air starts things off. When a baby shows up on the planet, the first thing they do is breathe, right? We have vibration and sound energy also as part of breath work and air work, the eastern direction. So what does this look like practically? Okay. We know the witchcraft side. What does this look like practically? It looks like you holding the intention that when you breathe on something, it is cleansed. You might see it in your head if you are a clairvoyant, or what we call at Haven, a vision vibe person. If you see things in your head, you can picture movies in your head. What I want you to do, I'll use this housewife tarot as an example because I haven't shown it yet. Okay. Phenomenal deck, by the way, if you're into tarot. Love this one. Let's say that I want to cleanse this deck and all I have is my breath. I don't have Florida water. I don't have salt. I don't have tinctures. I don't have glycerites. I don't have my wand. I just got me, right? Me and my breath, maybe my hands. Okay. What I would do is I would hold this or whatever I'm cleansing and protecting and blow on it. Okay. Costs nothing. It will remove the energy. The point here is that you're holding the vision of your breath, clearing this. Okay. Does it mean that my oxygen is more special than yours? No. Does it mean that my exhale is magical and aligned more than no, fuck that. This is about you holding intention, right? So hold the intention that when I clear this, I'm going to remove any energy that is stuck, remove any energy that's remaining, remove any energy that's not serving me. And I'm going to protect any nefarious, any non-benevolent, pick your word here, any uninvited energy to be, this is impenetrable. Anything that is uninvited is not allowed. Blow. Okay. Very simple. You can do this with a deck of cards. You can do this with your ritual tools. You can do this in a bedroom. You can do this before you walk into a house. You can do this lots and lots and lots of different ways. Okay. One of the things that I love doing along with the breath work and the air, if you are able to clap your hands, any sound will also count as air magic. So clapping to clear a room, playing loud music. We have a playlist at Haven that's collaborative. All of our students that want to contribute to it. And there's songs on there that have the energy of like, one of the songs is Women Don't Owe You Shit. Love that song. And it's very much like, you want all these things from us. We don't owe you shit. And giant middle finger, which I would show to the camera, but we're going to go on YouTube and I'll get a strike. So imagine me flipping you off. Okay. When we are in that kind of energy and we turn the music up to volume 11, sound can clear the house. Sound can protect the house. There is definitely a time and space for whatever song is your fuck you song, like get the fuck out or I'm done or whatever that song is, right? Whatever that song is. Turning that up and blasting that through your house, be respectful of your neighbors, but blasting that for 3-4 minutes through your house will change the energy 100%. It will drive something out that needs to be driven out 100% for clearing. There are also specific songs that are great for protecting. That would mean any song that helps you feel protected. If there's a lullaby that you love, you've loved since you were a kid, and you're like, oh my gosh, this makes me feel safe, lean into that. Okay. If you are a traditionalist, drawing on my theology background here, right? And you're dealing with something that is baneful, you're dealing with a demon, you're dealing with a jinn, you're dealing with someone's servitor that's trying to fuck your shit up. Play Psalm 91. Go to YouTube, search Psalm 91 music. Psalm is PSALM 91 music. 3 separate words, Psalm 91 music. You will find lots of different options for people singing, for very simple, like doesn't have to be long. But what that is that's usually someone singing or reading Psalm 91, which is a passage from the Bible that baneful entities hate. Hate it. Okay. So in my council class, which is our baneful class, I actually read Psalm 91. This makes all of my religious followers and all the Christians that follow me, like your skin crawls. I read biblical scripture in my baneful class. Okay. So before you think that I'm one of those like devil worshiping people, I have biblical tattoos. Okay. We read scripture in class. You can just let that percolate and sit there. Psalm 91 is beautiful for removal of entities, for protection in general. It is good if you don't have entities, if you don't have really nefarious stuff that you're trying to kick out, it will be protective. If you do, it will also give those things the middle finger. Okay. Kick them out. protect your space, have agency. Okay. So there's lots of herbs. Another one of my favorites, someone in chat reminded me um, of blueberries. I keep a jar. I won't show it to you because I have to show you other things that you can't see. But I keep a little jar of dried blueberries in one of my baneful closets for protection. If you eat blueberries, love that. That's extra protection energy. If you're like, man, my kid is going to have a hard day today, or my kid's going to go have a test today. One of our moderators has a kiddo that has a test today. Give them blueberries in their cereal for breakfast. Help protect them. Help protect their brain. If they're going to go on a field trip, you want them to be safe, include some blueberries in the lunch that you pack. Okay. Easy, easy, easy stuff. Blueberries, rosemary, salt, Florida water. Simple. Okay. There are very intricate ideas I could give you. That's not my point for today. If you want the intricate ideas, go take our protection workshop. There's tons of things there. My job today is to give you easily accessible options for taking care of your magical protection. Okay. One of the things, other than deciding once and starting small, okay, so pick one of those. I'm going to work with blueberries this week. I'm going to grab my table salt and remember that when I need protection, put a couple of shakes in my bath water. I'm going to lay Florida water in my windowsill tracks, right? Love that. Pick one, play with it this week, see how it goes. Another thing that I want to give you a clue about is to ask what one of my favorite authors, Kendra Adachi, she wrote a book called The Lazy Genius. It's not a witchcraft book, but I recommend you read it. She does something called Ask the Magic Question. What can I do right now that will save me energetic drain later? What can I do right now that will save me energetic drain later? If you are sitting here, it's 10:47 my time, and you're like, I have a whole ass Wednesday ahead of me. I have a meeting that I don't want to do. I have this thing after work. I have whatever. What can you do right now to save yourself energetic drain later? This also looks really mundane, right? This morning I have a 3-story house. There's 3 levels. My master bedroom's on the top. My laundry is on the bottom. I went up and down this, you guys, my glutes are so getting shaped because I'm up and down the fucking stairs all the time. Today I was at the top of the stairs and I was like, I got to go downstairs and teach Q&A. I have laundry to do. Grab the laundry and bring it down with me in the morning when I haven't traversed the stairs 82 times in a day, right? This can be really mundane too. Set yourself up for success. So if you know you're going into a conversation when your partner gets home from work, that's going to be hard. You know, you are about to have a client that always talks about things that are triggering. You know that it's Thursday, it's Friday, it's Tuesday, it's the 30th, it's an anniversary of a really hard moment. You know, what can you do to take exquisite care of your basics so that you don't have energetic drain later? Doesn't mean it's a fail-safe. You might still have drain, but if you can take care of yourself when you think about it before it's critical, you'll have a lot easier time. Think about this as like a crock pot for dinner, right? You set it in the morning, you go do your thing, and then by the time you come home, you're freaking done. You're out of spoons, and past you made dinner. Good job, past me, right? That's the kind of energy we want to do. We want to take care of future us with the energy that we have in present time so that we are always taking care of it. Did I go silent for everybody? No. Okay. It might just be you, love, in the chat. Somebody says, love Psalm 91. It has saved my sanity so many times. My psychologist, parapsychologist, and psychic older mentor told me to say it out loud. Yep, he's gone now, but I see him in my dreams. Yeah. So you reading it counts if you have a Bible close to you. Yeah, for sure. You can, I mean, it's biblical scripture. You can Google Psalm 91 and get lots of different versions and transliterations and things like that. One of the things that I would focus on if you are resistant to scripture, or if you're like, I don't know how to read this, it's pretty accessible wording. But if you're like, maybe English isn't your first language, maybe you need to focus on how you feel. That's why I say YouTube. Not only are you going to get the sound, which yes, can also come from your voice, but it allows your brain to just be present instead of like, am I saying this right? And is this the whole thing? And where do I start? And do I really have to read? Psalm 91 is like a chunk. It'll take you a couple of minutes to read through. It's not going to take forever. But for some people, reading out loud, speaking out loud is difficult. So for sure, you can use YouTube or you can read it 100%. Good note. So yeah, asking the magic question, what can you do now to prevent energetic drain later? What can you do so that future you is a little bit more set up for success, right? How can you be proactive? How can you love my friend? How can you take really good care of my friend today? Okay, think about it that way. Another thing that I got from Kendra, same author, Kendra Adachi. She wrote The Lazy Genius. That's the book that I talked about. Also not sponsored. I just freaking love her. She has something that she calls live in the season, right? Protection is going to look different in different seasons of life. Okay. If you've got a baby or newborn, a toddler, that is going to consume your energy. Okay. That is the consumption of your energy. That means you might not have 30 minutes to do a floor wash twice a week based on protection. That's fine, right? That's not your season. Your season might be, you know what? I'm going to snap through the house and go clear and protect things with sound magic. We're going to play music and we're going to fill the space with Psalm 91 in a lullaby form while I rock you or nurse, right? Like that, you have to live in the season that you're in. So don't hear that I am prescribing you a specific kind of protection. Work in the season of life that you're in, right? It may not be accessible for you to, you know what? You may, on the opposite side, you may be an empty nester. You may be retired. You may be, I don't know, you might have the whole day to just chill. And you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to do like a really, inch thick salt perimeter. I've got this salt that I need to use, and I'm going to do a thick salt perimeter. I'm going to walk my whole perimeter of my property, and I'm going to take my sweet ass time and take a 3-hour jaunt around my house. Cool. Love that for you. If that's accessible, great. More power to you. It can look different in all forms of life, all seasons. One thing that I also will say is if you live with someone who is scent sensitive, right? If they have lots of allergies, if they have, they're susceptible to lots of sneezes from big scents, that may affect the way that you cleanse. Moving into this house with my partner, he is very scent sensitive. So the things that I light on fire in my cute little incense burner, right, that collects all the ash, pro tip, good idea to have something that collects it so it doesn't go everywhere. The things that I light, I make sure that A, my office door is closed, B, that the window that's right over here is open so that things can leave when you smudge, when you cleanse, but also so that I'm respectful of his respiratory system, right, and our house. In other situations in other houses, or when I've lived with partners that don't have that, I'm waving my fucking lit Palo Santo, my rosemary, my cedar, whatever, all the way around the house because it's not an asthma trigger. It's not a respiratory trigger. That is another example of living in the season that you're in, right? Not every season is going to be perfect for every kind of protection. Honor what's going on in your life. Honor what's going on in your season. Honor what's going on in your body, your home, the people that you're around, your energy level. Okay, that's how we started. Remember, honor where you're at. Take exquisite care of your basics. Okay. Looking here at my notes, building routines is important. So you want to align protective practices with your magical priorities. If you are working on, let's say you're like, I want to learn runes. Somebody on this call is walking through runes, and I am also walking through runes. So let's say, I have this desire that I'm going to learn runes. How can you learn protection through the lens of runes? What runes are protective? How could you use those in your world? Maybe that becomes a handwritten rune in your office. I have handwritten runes from Haven students stuck in my office. I have protective magic pieces given to me by students in my office. But if you are let's say your lens is runes. How can you learn protection through runes? What runes are protective? How might you display those runes? How might you use those runes through protection? If you are looking at the crystal kingdom, the mineral kingdom, and you're like, I'm really popping off about some minerals, What are the mineral kingdom friends that you can align with to protect yourself? I would look at things like black tourmaline. I would look at things like smoky quartz. I would look at things like obsidian and jet, right? Look at the ways inside your magical priorities, the things that you love, the things that are actually lighting you up. How can you make that protective? That way, you're not adding another step. You're not giving yourself something to focus on. You can still hyper focus for all my neurodivergence at Haven, right? You get a hobby and you want to go deep into that hobby until 4 days later, you go deep into the other hobby, right? So when you are looking at something, I really want to study this. I'm really called to planetary magic. Work with freaking Saturn. Work with Saturn. Saturn is daddy boundaries energy, right? Work with Saturn for protection. No matter what area of magic you are curious about, herbs, candles, crystals, planets, astro, runes, I don't care. Make that part of your protective routine. It will become second nature. And then you can branch out, right? You can, oh, well, I know how to protect myself with runes. Now I'm going to work on crystals. Then I'm going to work on planets. Then I'm going to work on, maybe I'm going to work with fire. Maybe I'm going to work with air. Maybe I want to work with water energy. I want to do protective, a protective anointing oil for my altar with chamomile, right? Chamomile is super protective as an herb. I didn't mention that one either. It can look a lot of different ways. Think about what you're passionate about. Think about the alignment where you want your craft to go, where you want your spirituality to go, and research protection inside that, right? As long as it's not a closed practice, or if it is, you have access rights to it. Okay. I'm not going to tell you to adopt somebody's protective protective rituals when you are not part of their practice. That would not be appropriate. If something doesn't work, okay, let's talk about this because everybody has that. We're all human. Everybody has that. Okay, I'm going to do my floor wash and I still feel like shit. I did my salt perimeter and I'm still not sleeping well. I put a black tourmaline on top of my router and my tech is still fucking up all the time. Okay. Which, by the way, pro tip, if you're having internet issues, put a chunk of black tourmaline on your router, watch it get better. What happens if something doesn't work? All we have to do is adjust, right? It may be that your intention wasn't clear. It may be that you forgot to cleanse before you protected, right? So instead of kicking the thief out and then protecting the house, you protected the thief, you shut the thief in the house, right? Okay, all that means is we just got to go open the door again and kick his ass out, their ass out, her ass out, so that we can then protect our space, okay? All it means doesn't mean that you failed, doesn't mean that your magic didn't work. All it means is that we get to try again without guilt. We get to try something else without guilt. Not every kind of magic is second nature for every person, right? I suck at weather magic. It's something that I can do. I don't like doing it. I'm not awesome at it. There is not a time when I have leaned on weather magic for protection because I don't trust my results with it. Can I do it? Yeah. But it usually takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy and an extra planning. I'm not going to use something like that to protect myself, something that's really important. I will use something that's in my wheelhouse. I will use breath, intention, vibration, energy, sound, all of the things that I've talked about today, right? All of those things are well within my wheelhouse. I will lean on those instead of doing something that doesn't fit with me. Okay. Somebody asked, is spearmint okay for cleaning the counters and using breath? Yeah, mint is really clearing, really cleansing. I love spearmint. I actually have a big bag of spearmint in my closet here. Spearmint is great. Mint of all kinds is pretty clearing, pretty cooling. It can also, just pro tip, it's also really good for digestion. So if you are having queasy, uneasy, if you're like a tummy trouble kind of witch where you start to get anxious and your tummy gets bubbly, yeah, any sort of mint will also help that. I love cleansing with peppermint. Spearmint's wonderful too. It's a little bit less in your face. But yeah, peppermint and spearmint are both phenomenal for cleansing. Like think about, after dinner, what do we eat? We eat a mint, right? Because it cleanses the palate, kind of restores everything to baseline. Toothpaste is most of the time, not all the time, most of the time mint flavored. Very cleansing, very clearing, very cooling. That's pro tip. It's also phenomenal for digestion. If you are someone who is nursing a child, or if you are breastfeeding, if you are trying to increase your milk supply or keep your milk supply, peppermint can decrease that. So just know that if you're using a lot of peppermint in your home and you are breastfeeding, or someone in your home is breastfeeding, know that be cognizant of how much you use it and watch your milk supply. If you notice a decrease in it, then that's something to pay attention to. Let's see. Someone says, equalize myself, feed the birds outside, tend the roses, and then soak in the hot tub and watch the birds. Yes. Yes. I love the birds at your house. All the parrots at your house. You can watch in the hot tub. I love that. Yeah, good to get back to baseline, right? So using the things that you have, the person that said this, right? They love soaking in the hot tub. Roses are a thing for them. And spending conscious time in environments that fill us up, that fill our cup, is protective, right? Think about if you spent the day, imagine what that space is for you. Maybe it's a hot tub in your backyard with a bunch of roses and lovebirds and parrots. Love that. Maybe it's your grandma's front porch. Maybe it's your bed, right? Maybe it's your car on PCH looking at the ocean, right? Whatever it is, maybe that's your thing. When you spend conscious time like that, imagine that you spend an hour doing whatever that is, in whatever scene that is. Maybe you're by yourself, maybe you're with someone else. And then after that, you go to the store and someone's an asshole. Do you think you would handle it better coming off of an hour of that situation? Or do you think that situation, you spending that hour in the environment that aligns with you, would make it worse? It's going to help you be more stable, right? You are going to be at a baseline that's well kept, well fed, well loved, full on, full tilt as much as you can. When you have that interaction with someone, you're not going to be as rocked off of your foundation. Your baseline is going to be more stable because you took the time to take care of yourself. Okay. Somebody in chat who is a phenomenal resource for things, the same person who told us about the alcohol percentage, yes, said that you can use bitters in place of citrus oils. So yeah, if you are in a situation, I'm in Arizona, we have tons of citrus trees here, like obscene amounts of citrus plants here. If that's not accessible for you, or you're somewhere where that's not easily accessible and you have a well-stocked cocktail cabinet, you can use bitters in place of citrus oils. They're convenient, like you said, accessible, and the shelf life is longer than lots of other things. And Angostura bitters are made of orange. Pro tip. I did not know that. Thank you for the tip. Looking here, I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, align your practices with your priorities, what you're focused on. If you can bring protection into that, we love that. It's less to focus on. How do we protect ourselves? How do we make sure that we are regular about this? So people ask, like, frequency, right? How often do I need to do this? As often as you feel like you need to. And if you are somebody who is you are a witch, you are not regularly cleansing and protecting, I would say once a week at minimum, at very, very, very minimum, once a week. Okay. I don't want you to hear that and feel like, oh my God, now I have more tasks. Oh my God. Okay. This does not have to take a long time. It does not need a lot of supplies. We've been through that, right? What this means is you have a requirement, just like you brush your teeth, just like you wash your hands, just like you lock your door, you have a requirement to keep your energy safe. If you have, let's talk about like specific instances. There's routine cleansing, routine protection. I usually do that on Saturday. Saturday is sacred to Saturn. Saturday is a beautiful day for boundaries. Saturday is a beautiful day for protection work. It just so happens that I am not working. I don't teach on Saturdays typically. I'm not at Haven on Saturdays typically. So I have time and space to be able to be in my house, my space, and cleanse and protect and really spend time doing it. If that is not accessible for you, cool. Do it in a way that works. That's normal routine protection. Pick a day, pick a time, do it. If you are in a fight with your spouse, If you have a kid that's extra mouthy when they come home from school, if you got home from a hard freaking day at work and you were like, just a level 10 frustration or level 10 bitter or angry or disappointed, right? That is time to cleanse and protect. There are moments where I've had arguments with people, former spouses, former partners, and there you can feel it in the air, right? You can feel after you've had a spat, after you've had a disagreement, after you've had even not even a fight, but like a hard conversation. You talk about hard things or triggering things, or you get a phone call and your world stops for a second. That is time to cleanse and protect, right? Because what you're doing is moving that energy out. You don't want to sit and stew in it. You don't want to keep that fight in your house. You don't want to keep the tension in your house, right? It's the same thing that we do when we clean our house mundanely. We take the trash out. You're doing the same thing. Clean your house, get that shit out, and then reprotect with your intention. Okay. Um, I get a lot of people, I wanted to talk about this before we wrap. Is it possible that someone has cursed you? I get a ton of people in my inbox that are like, someone sending me bad magic, someone sending me curses. Is it possible? Yeah, for sure, it's possible. I will tell you that a curse is the most severe form of baneful magic. If you haven't been to council, take it. Curse is the most severe. There are very, very few witches, and I teach this. Okay. There are very, very few witches who have the desire to actually curse you. Do you know how much work that takes? Do you know how much intention that takes? Do you know like the level of magic, the level of focus, the level of magical proficiency that it takes to accurately curse someone? It is very rare that you are actually cursed. Is it possible? Yes, I'm not gonna lie to you. But is it likely? No. A step below a curse is a cross. Crosses are things that apply to long-term situations over time, like the interview example, right? I'll give you an example of a cross I've actually done, right? Someone tried to scam me. And so I set up a situation where for a calendar year, every time they swiped their debit card, it got flagged for fraud and they had to get sent a new one. They got like, I saw a stack of pictures of debit cards because they just couldn't figure out why every time they swiped their card, it would get flagged for fraud. Weird. Gasoline, fraud. Convenience store, fraud. Grocery store, fraud. Weird. Maybe you shouldn't have fucked with me, right? Those kind of situations, if you're like, every time, this is weird. Every time I swipe my card, it gets flagged for fraud. I'm not doing anything weird. That's a situation where, yeah, you might be looking at something like that, right? So that's when we're looking at, do we rule out the mundane? What is happening that is ongoing? If it is an ongoing long term, maybe not lifelong like a curse or generational like a curse, again, super rare, but we're looking at a longer term, at least multi months, probably multi year situation of adverse experiences related to a specific area of life. That is something that I would look at, right? No matter what, I can't get ahead. I'm doing all the things. Feels like something's keeping me down. Come visit me. You don't have to take classes at Haven. I do one-on-ones. You can come do a consult. We'll figure out what's going on. I'll tell you how to fix it. Okay. Easy peasy. One step below a cross is a hex. That's the most, like, people throw the word hex around. Oh, they hexed me. I'm going to hex them. I'm going to hex my ex, right? People throw that around without really knowing what a hex is. A hex is a short term, couple of weeks, maybe a month, situation where someone has an energetic little slap across the hand for something that they did, okay, or something that they're doing. So every time someone lied to me or wanted to lie to me, their heart started to palpitate. They started to have heart palpitations. They went tachycardic. I am a strong enough, smart enough, baneful witch that I did not exacerbate cardiovascular conditions. No harm came to them, but it was enough where if they started to feel like they wanted to lie, they'd get distracted by their heart racing. Ooh, why is that happening? And then, of course, I get a text, hey, my heart's racing. I'm gonna have to like cancel dinner because I'm laying down. My heart's racing. I know that means you're about to lie. Right? That's an example of a hex. So hexes are usually not something that you would think about catching because they're not that long term. They're going to be something that is more severe than like a prank. Um, Somebody asked, did you make my eye twitch? No. No, no, but that would be a good example of a hex. That would be a good example of a hex. 3 days of eye twitches. I like that one. When someone is in counsel and we go through beginnings of our Baneful program, I tell them to start making a list of the shit that annoys them, because those make really good ideas for hexes, right? Stubbing your toe, dropping your keys, your grocery bags splitting, so your groceries go, like stuff that you're like, right? Write that down, and when you take counsel, we'll use those. That's an example of a hex, though. Yeah, I love that. I love that you asked. It was not me. I would not do that to you. The least severe form of baneful magic is a jinx. And we see this all the time when you say something with this at the same time as someone else, and we say, "Oh, Jinx, you owe me a Coke," right? Jinx is a very simple, very basic level of baneful magic. And a jinx is basically a prank, right? Every time someone, or the next time someone walks on stage, they're going to trip. The next time my ex tries to match with someone on a dating app, they're going to ghost, right? One time, very simple prank, pretty lighthearted, still counts as baneful magic. But these are things that could be happening, and you might write them off as Murphy's Law. You might be like, holy shit, I went to teach class and my router crapped out. What is that, right? That's happened to me, right? I had to exercise the router the first night of council last round. You guys know that. So there are little things, right? There are little things that can happen. Typically, when I hear witches talk about protection, they're only talking about the really severe. They're talking about demonic possession. They're talking about the signs for those kind of things, which we go through in council. That's something that you want to learn about, different kinds of baneful entities. I will tell you exactly what kind of phenomena attach with which kind of beings and how to deal with it. This is not the container or conversation for that. If you want that, we do have it at Haven. What I would say is the best way to keep yourself safe is to be regular about your protection. Be very regular about the ways that you protect yourself, the ways that you cleanse. If that's once a week, love that. If it is every Saturday, love it. I would say your minimum, if you are actively working, if you're doing spell work, if you are in the ether, if you are intuitive, if you are highly sensitive, if you're an empath, at least once a week, at least. Okay. If you suspect that there is baneful magic at play and you're coming at protection from some shit went down and I need to fix it, okay, you have to rule out the mundane first. If you come talk to me, that's what I will ask you first. So if you're planning on booking a session, if you're planning on coming to Haven, if you're planning on popping into my DMs later, know that I will ask you about the mundane things first. Have those ready for me. Okay. Your boundaries are your first shield of protection. You standing at your front door, opening the door and saying everything that is uninvited needs to get the fuck out. That is protection. That is cleansing. That is boundaries. Then shut the door. Whether or not you have salt in front of it, whether or not you have rosemary or Florida water or eggshell powder, whatever, right? Regardless of if you have nothing else, your voice and your intention and your boundaries can be the first line of defense, right? Be somebody who has a rock star rebar spine. Be somebody who is 10 toes down, standing on business about their boundaries. That's what you want to keep yourself safe. People in the mundane will feel that. People in the ether will feel that. Beings in the ether will feel that. The more serious you are about your boundaries, that will communicate that ferocity on all of the realms. Okay, I promise. Boundaries are your first shield of defense. Okay. Somebody in chat says, I always keep a taper candle lit when I'm home, reminding me to check in with spirit and cleanse and protect. Yep. Candles are really good. Good protection magic. I like them a lot. One of the things that I didn't plan on covering, but I will talk about just briefly before we wrap, is a talisman or an amulet. So if you've been in semester, our foundation program that all witches start at semester or at Haven, it's 13 weeks. One of the things I cover is talisman versus amulet. Easy way to remember which is which. Talisman starts with a T. Talisman brings things toward you. Talisman toward. Amulet starts with an A. Amulet sends things away from you. So if you're going to do a talisman, can be a necklace that you charge, can be jewelry that you enchant, can be a ring that you wear, can be a small little crystal. This actually came from somebody that is on our call right now. Look at this cute little opalite star. If you have something like that, right, and you are going to program it to keep you safe, it's important to know what direction the energy is going. So if you are programming as a talisman, T, talisman, toward, you are bringing protection toward you. When you hold this in your hands and you say, this opalite star, I'm going to cleanse it. And then this opalite star, I'm going to charge and program to bring protection energy towards me, keep me protected. Then when you keep it in your pocket, it's going to attract protective energy towards you. Okay. If you do this the other way, the opposite way, equally valid, but I'm being specific about this because it matters. You're going to make an amulet. Okay. Let's use my little cute opalite elephant. Okay. Alki. Let's say that he's an amulet. A amulet away. So to protect yourself, you would say, again, cleanse it. You'd hold it in your hands to consecrate because touch energy, right? Or you can blow and use air energy. If it's an amulet, it's away. This elephant, Alki, will keep harm away from me. It repels anything that intends harm or has malicious or nefarious intent. Okay. Same end result. Two different ways of thinking about it. You have to decide what direction the energy is going. Don't do both. It's confusing. Only pick one. You can have different pieces that do different things, but make that particular piece commanding of energy only one way. Either it brings toward you, talisman, T toward, okay, toward you, it brings protection toward you, or it's an amulet, amulet A, away. It repels harm. It repels things that have nefarious, malicious intent. Okay. I have videos about that on Facebook. If you're curious about that, let me know and I can link them in the description. Are there any questions for me? For those of y'all that are on live, any questions you want to put in the chat for me, you can type them out and I will answer them if you have questions about protection or things you'd like to add. Another thing, as I'm drinking my Gatorade, I have a shirt on today that has a Latin phrase on it, Semper Inventor. This is a shirt that I made because in a former relationship that I was in with a phenomenal human, we had a mantra. We had a mantra that we used, and this is only half of it, Semper Inventor, which means always found. It was a grounding mantra, a protective mantra, so that I would remember that no matter where I went, he could find me, right? Love that level of connection. Mantras are also beautiful. I am protected. I am safe. This is my space. I own this space. I have dominion over this space. You have to leave. You're not welcome. All of those things are beautiful. Mantras are phenomenal for protection work. Somebody asked, is one more powerful than the other? As far as talisman or amulet, no. They are, there's not a level of power that is different between the two. It's really just your preference. And it's some witches only ever do one. Like some witches only ever make talisman. They like bringing things toward, right? Some witches really love repelling magic. So they will work on amulets to repel evil, to repel poverty, to repel lying, whatever. It just depends on how you want to orient the energetics and really where you want your focus to be, right? Because think about it, if I'm using an amulet and I'm sending things away from me, I'm going to be focused on those things not coming. I'm going to be focused on the lie that is being held back. I'm going to be focused on the harm that's held back. I'm going to be focused on evil that is repelled, right? If I'm focused on the opposite, let's say I'm focused on toward, talisman, things that I'm attracting, every time I feel protected, that's going to grow. Every time I'm like, oh shit, like that car almost hit me and didn't. Thank you for keeping me protected, right? They're both equally valid. It's just a matter of how you want to see the energy and the movement of the direction of energy. Yeah, good question. Thank you for asking. All right, you guys. This concludes our Q&A on protection magic. I'm grateful that you were here. Next week, what are we talking about? Let's see. What is our theme for next week? I usually like to tell you guys while we're here so that you can see, you can plan. Okay, next week we are doing Imbolc Prec. So next week is the 28th of January. We're going to talk about Brigid. We're going to talk about what the heck is Imbolc? Why do we celebrate Imbolc? What is it? It's on the Wheel of the Year. It's a Sabbath that a lot of pagans and witches celebrate. Why do we, what the heck is with Imbolc? Why do we celebrate Imbolc? What is the natural and plant world significance of Imbolc? Very cool. It's the very beginning of February. So next week's Q&A will set you up with information, practices, all the information that you need. If you want to celebrate Imbolc this year, you will have time to hear about it and learn and source some things if you want to be able to celebrate Imbolc. We're going to talk about that next week. And then coming up, we've got Q&As on love magic and self-appreciation. We've got one on roses and herb spells for connection. We've got one coming up on the Pisces season archetypes. And we've got our last one in February is on drawing boundaries with compassion. Okay, so we've got a lot of good things coming up in February. We're going to start next week, the last week of January, with talking about Brigid and Imbolc and how to welcome February and all of its energy. That's next week. Thanks for being here, you guys. Good to see y'all. And I'll see you next week.